Well, with everyone here has mentioned friends and friendship and community and bonding with the guys on your floor, or girls in some people's cases. Most people have, well, anyways, most people's cases on the floor. And that's true. It's an essential part of college. It's a part of growing and building up together, and that's a positive force in all of our lives, I would hope. And if it's not, you should join into your floor and get connected and become part of that, because that's a huge impact. But one of the biggest things is I'm Garrick's Student Senate representative this year. As a member of Student Senate, you hear about a different side of community. You hear about issues that students are having. You hear about concerns. And you have a chance to interact and say, what can we do about these? What impact can we actually have on campus? And that's caused me to think this year a lot more than, what I would expect. So Student Senate shaped me. It's made me think about issues that wouldn't otherwise impact me as a student at Taylor. So.
Thank you. This next question is courtesy of The Echo, and we will start with you, Sam. What is one of your campaign promises that realistically will not happen as your time is within your time as SBP? I can repeat that question. What is one of your campaign promises that realistically will not happen within your time as SBP?
I wouldn't say anything that I haven't kind of thought about or kind of planned. I've kind of looked at things and said, I need to look at things from a realistic perspective. Specifically, I've looked at making community outreach kind of important, but also making it something fun, something for all of us. I look at our city here, and we're part of something big, like Upland, Indiana. Like, we're here as students, but technically this is their city. This is where they live. This is where they work. This is where they live. And so, just seeing how realistically we could do that, how realistically we can connect with them. I really want to do a carnival for the kids and for the community, because I think that'd be a lot of fun for all of us, but also it gives back to the community, and it's something that's realistic. So I don't think I've really pushed the limits as far as something that would be unrealistic for us to do.
Thank you. Jordan?
Well, the whole basis of my platform is that people join in with it. So if I get elected and I say, this is what I want to try and do and this is my platform, but nobody else wants to help, then nothing would be accomplished. So it's all based on how involved the student body wants to be involved. So say, for example, with the campus community, trying to unify leadership. If co-directors are all together and they say, well, we want to do this with our organization, we want to do this with our organization, and they just try and go their individual ways, then it won't work, because we're not willing to work together. So I know that for me, coming in as a freshman and seeing my floor and seeing that it was a lot of the seniors weren't necessarily involved, and then realizing that I was able to have a part in that, and it was something bigger than me, and it was a big vision, and I was able to say, wow, I really want to be involved with this because it's something bigger than me, and it will last. Once I'm gone from Taylor, it will continue to go, and people will say, that tradition was sweet that they started, and it'll just be sweet. And so that can only happen if we all bind together and if we say, this is something we all want to work towards. So.
Thank you. Mike?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure.
Sorry.
What is one of your campaign promises that realistically will not happen within your time as student body president?
Okay. Yeah. Again, the big idea that I'm running on is the idea of openness. The idea that you should know what's happening and we should know what your concerns are. And as much as I can try and do that, there's always going to be students that aren't, I don't care. He has a website, so what? That's not a concern of mine. That's not a priority. And there's always going to be people that don't necessarily participate, don't join in, don't, get involved. And as much as we try and reach out to those kids and those students, they're not going to be impacted unless they want to be impacted. And so I'm trying to make some realistic differences this next year. I want to, make student government considerably more accessible, make you know about decisions that are being made, before they're made, preferably. I've got a plan to revamp the email system at Taylor, the Taylor announcements that you guys get. You should check it out on the website. There's a lot of practical differences that I'm being made, but a lot of those differences, aren't necessarily going to happen if students don't want them to happen. It's all about what you guys want. So.
Thank you. Nate?
Thank you. Something that I try to do is not to make promises I can't keep. so I haven't made a whole lot of promises. But something that I care deeply about is that we are all, as Christians, wise with the resources that he's going to bless us with. And I can't promise that all of us will honestly care and understand why I feel this way and why we should feel this way. But as we leave Taylor, there's a lot of Taylor people who get the ring by spring and leave Taylor as, you know, married couples. Are they able to support families? That's something people may or may not think about. Or as missionaries in the, you know, in the mission field, missions workers are not given a base salary. It's all through faith-based giving. So are missionaries prepared in hard times like these? Are they prepared to continue doing missions work on little to no funding? And that's something I can't promise that we all have a passion for, because I'm the only one who seems to have, been different. Everybody here is talking about community, and community is a great thing here at Taylor. But we also got to look at, when we graduate here from Taylor, are we prepared to use our Taylor education to the glory of God?
Thank you, Nate. That marks the end of our first round. Now we're going to have a round of individual questions, one for each candidate. You each have 2 minutes, actually. And we're going to start with Jordan. Jordan, on your Facebook group, one of your platform aspects is the reevaluation of programs at Taylor. On this you say, and I quote, "Taylor has over 500 programs, which is about 3.6 people per program. Analysis of the effectiveness of these programs would benefit the campus greatly," end quote. How are you going to go about this analysis, and in what ways do you think this will benefit the campus?
Well, that's something that I feel very strongly about because, think about youth conference running on 3.6 people. That's impossible. Think about the campus worship bands running on 3.6 people. Things can't run. There's just so many programs that it feels like Taylor's gone towards quantity instead of quality. So sitting down and looking at all the programs and saying, is this still being salt and light to our campus? Is this still being salt and light to Upland or to Ball State or to just the student body? And in that, saying there's grouping together different organizations and basically so having, like an umbrella of global engagement and having all of the organizations that are focused on that. So TWO, Acting on AIDS, all of those different organizations, the ones that are focused on the student body, grouping all those together. And just making clumps of organizations so then we can say, all right, now all of you work together toward goals so that we can actually see change and we can actually have a vision and everybody can work together. So instead of having 5 different meetings, you have one meeting with 50 people. So instead of 5 with 10 or whatever. And so in that, I think that that's something that is completely accessible and really realistic for our campus. And just being able to say, these are things that, all of us see, and it's sort of, the wheels are spinning in some different ways. And we can buckle down and group together as a campus and say, I am willing to work with this other organization, and I am willing to sacrifice the things that I want to do for the betterment of our campus. And so I think that reevaluating the programs is something that is very accessible, and it would benefit the campus greatly.
Thank you, Jordan. This question is for Mike. Mike, what group on campus are you least able to represent? How have you attempted to bridge that gap in your campaign?
Okay. Least able to represent. There's a lot of groups that I'm involved in on campus. I'm heavily involved in media and in theater and radio station and student senate and in activities around Garrig and things like that. But there's a lot of groups that I can't reach. I'm not an athlete. I've never been an athlete, and I'll admit to that. Nate's much better. He's a much better servant leader to the athletes than I am, and I recognize that, and I'm willing to have their input and listen to them and talk to them and say, okay, what's happening here? What can we do? What support do you need from us? And I really think that's important and relevant. And as much as I don't necessarily know what's going on within the athletic community, within one of the teams, within something, I'd love to hear about it. And I really am concerned for what's going on. What issues are they having? What concerns can we help them work through? So.